Alright, we got the pizza ordered. She needs a little bit of cleaning here. Yikes. That's a full winter's worth of not really cleaning her much. Anyways, I'll be back with you guys. I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy the really nice weather out today. I'll see ya. Back on the road. We are going to be talking about the EM2 Civic today. You know, living with it for a year. I thought it was just, when I first got this car, really, I thought it was just going to be, you know, your typical, I'm just going to go point A to point B, not do anything to it. I mean, that's the same thing that I said when I got my DA9, but you know what happened to that. Probably gonna roll the clip here in a minute. Editor me, put that clip in right there. But yeah, what do I think of the EM2 Honda Civic when driving it for a whole year, you know, just dailying it? Well, first off, the tires that come with this car, not great. The suspension that comes with the car, it's very wobbly. You get little, you know, I mean, it can take abuse. It's just very soft. And I mean, if you don't plan on ever tracking the car, doing any sort of spirited driving, then you're fine. You'll be fine. Point A to point B. It understeers more than it does oversteer, but that's because of the way they set up the geometry. Because the way they set up the geometry, and this is what people will tell you why they hate the 7th gen Honda Civics, is the suspension. They went from double wishbone to McPherson strut and independent rear. That gives you a host of problems, not to mention when going from double wishbone to McPherson strut, it's a weird, hold on, it's really loud, this thing is loud. It's a weird kind of edge case because on one hand, the car handles great. It handles absolutely great. On the other hand, if the front or the rear is too stiff or too soft, you've got some problems there. First, when I got this car, it understeers almost at around 90-degree corners, or not even that, just really shallow ones at 20-30 miles an hour with stock setup. That is if you're able to make the tires squeal and understeer in that speed, that's kind of that's scary. But then, you know, when you modify the car, aka redo the suspension, do everything, your coilovers, your struts, poly bushings, whatnot. You don't even need to go poly bushings, to be honest. It'll be fine. The car is fine. One thing that I have noticed though, cooling. When I first got this car, the cooling failed the first couple of months that I've owned it. Guess what? The radiator, the water pump, everything had to be replaced. Why is that? Well, because the radiator got clogged, and it's been there. It's been the same radiator. But by the way, The only things that I've modified on this car is basically everything underneath, just the suspension. No engine modifications, no intake, whatnot. You know, gotta get that cold air. No, none of that. I'm not too much a fan of that. Because the D17A2, you can't really make much power out of it, let alone do any really significant motor mods. I mean, you can, you're just not gonna get much gains out of it. Besides, you know, a full-on straight pipe, besides that, there's nothing really that I've done to the car other than suspension, wheels and tires, and brakes, brake pads. That's it. And I toge this thing. And I'll be honest, if you get an EM2 or any Civic for that matter, for the love of God, change the shifter. Because most of the time, if you don't work on the shifter, it's gonna feel sloppy. Right now I have a K-tuned billet box shifter underneath this, and it feels great. The stock shifter on this thing, first off, the throw sucks. When I got it, the throw sucked. It would pop out of gear because the tolerances were kind of gone pretty much. And that's the first thing that I did. Second thing, the suspension was way too soft. But once those were addressed, once those issues were dealt with, I started loving the car. Not because it's got, you know, massive power or whatnot. You don't drive. A lot of people will slap like a 500 horse build on these things. I'll be honest, that's way too much power for the fucking car. Heck, even just the K20. And also, that's another thing. People hate on the EM2 because it didn't get a K20 like the EP3s did. That's about it. They hate on the EM2 because the suspension was changed. The motor was a little single cam four banger, single jingle, and it doesn't make enough power. It doesn't make enough torque, and that's what people say. Does it bug me? Sometimes. Whenever I'm going up a hill. But besides that, it's got enough power to get you on the highway. But one of the things that I do want to do with this is definitely slap a K20 in there. If I can get my hands on a K20A, then that's it. That's literally it. The suspension's already been built so it can handle it. I mean, heck, these roads are nothing to this car now. You can take a corner at 60, 70. If it's a hairpin, maybe like 50, 40 or 50, if that. If it's a really sharp hairpin, then maybe 30. Michelin premieres on this thing. And it's great. It lasted through the snow, barely. Which, let me tell you, driving down from Boise back up here to McCall, we're in Idaho, by the way. Driving from there, holy shit, when you're driving a Civic through 1.5 feet of snow, that's a really scary feeling when the car is quite literally just floating. Alright, we're gonna let these guys through. I'm probably gonna put some Eurobeat in. Slow down a little bit. They're driving too slow. They seem to be going at a pretty good pace. But yeah, this road with this Civic, you can take it going 90. And then on these corners, you can take it at 70, maybe 80 if you're running good tires, like some 888Rs or something. But this corner, no, you definitely don't want to take it. The max you can take it is like maybe 40, 50 if you're pushing it. EM2, great car if you do the suspension right, and if you swap a K20 in it. You can keep the motor if you're just going to be going downhill. Any sort of uphill, if you plan on actually doing any sort of track work with this thing, which personally I would, but it's not the best platform. And I'll be honest, it's not. There are better platforms out there. I mean, heck, the older Civics are better platforms to build off of. But does it look nice? That's subjective. Does it feel nice? Oh yeah, definitely. When you get the suspension dialed in on this thing, it feels like a dream. Get an automatic though. If you're gonna get an EM2, do not get the automatic. I know it's gonna be hard to find, but you really don't want to have to go through a manual swap. There was one time the DA9 that I had, it was a 1993 Acura Integra that was automatic, and we manual swapped the shit out of that thing in a parking lot. And this was back when I was in Lackland too. I don't know, there were a couple of videos that I posted that had the DA9 in it. And thing, when we manual swapped it, holy shit, that was a nightmare. It was a big yikes too, because when we finally got the car up on stilts, we took the transmission off, and then a couple days later, finding all the parts and whatnot. And this was all done using hand tools, by the way. We didn't have any access to power tools or whatnot, so we had to my friend and I literally had to get up there and hold the fucking transmission up. He's holding the transmission up, I'm underneath the car trying to line it up. I mean, same thing pretty much happened with this thing when we were checking the clutch. Just get this picture in your head. Two skinny dudes lifting a transmission and trying to put it in. Insert "that's what she said" joke in there. But yeah, just get a manual. Trust me, it'll be a lot more fun driving the car with a manual than it is an automatic. And the automatic it's dog shit anyways. So let's get back to the point. After a year of driving the EM2 Civic, what do I think of it? It's a good car, with a couple of downsides. It's a very good car. Modifiable? Yes. Good handling? If you do it right. Power? What power? This thing barely gets like maybe 99 horse to the wheel if you're lucky. Is it cheap to maintain? Depending on the problems when you first get it, yeah. It's, like I said, the entire cooling system had to be done. Water pump kept failing. And just recently I did the timing belt on this thing, and let me tell you, 3 inches of workspace is not enough. It's difficult to get under there. Especially if you don't have, just getting the nut off. Getting the nut off of that, what do you call this? The balancer? Harmonic balancer? It's a challenge. If you have an impact, that'll make life easier. If you don't, well, good luck. But yeah, I don't know what else to ramble on. I don't know. Just, what are your thoughts on the EM2? If you had an EM2 before, or if you haven't, if you're thinking about getting an EM2, leave a comment down below and just let me know what you think. Honestly, I think it's a good beginner car. If you've had faster cars than this, it's a good daily. It's really just up to if you're gonna fix the suspension, that way it feels somewhat decent. I don't know what's knocking on the rear there. Probably one of my suspension, or probably one of the coilovers or something. Don't straight pipe it. From personal experience, it's just loud. You know those VTech memes? You're gonna get a lot of that. Especially if you straight pipe it.